Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Myth and Mayhem and our game of Fallout. It never fucking changes. Joining, as always, is the players. Say hello, the players.
Hello, the players.
Hello, the players.
So, brief recap of what has happened since. Our team of intrepid heroes have learned that there is more to this Commonwealth strife than first appeared. They have been told by a weird-looking ghoul cyborg thing in some power armor that has some history with Freddy that there's a war going on up north between the Institute and a bunch of upstart robots. That may lead to explaining why all the robots have seemed to have left the Commonwealth one day, all of a sudden. And as they have walked blindly into the situation in the city of Boston, they have been dragged into a war between the Monofonto Towers and the people of Goodsprings. They have been told by the people of Monofonto to explore Good Neighbor and report back with all of the juicy intel. And last week, as the group approached Good Neighbor, they learned that their reputation in this city may be more heroic than they were expecting. As the end of last week, the town of Good Neighbor appeared to be about to throw them a party. We will cut back to 30 minutes after Augusta was discovered in the center of Good Neighbor. Augusta and Jade are stood up on a stage that has quickly been erected in the center of Good Neighbor. Freddy, Carl, and the rest of the gang are stood to one side of the stage as the town's leader, John Hancock, a ghoul wearing a blue Revolutionary American coat and one of those silly hats that they have. You know, just picture a Revolutionary American soldier from the 1700s and that stupid hat they all appear to wear. He's wearing one of them. And he is in the middle of giving a speech, and he is saying... okay, there it is. I never believed I would be given the opportunity to, at least to some of the defenders of the Commonwealth, to apologise for how wrong we were about them. Thanks to the lies spread by Mayor McDonough of Diamond City. There is a chorus of boos at the mention of that name from the crowd. Yeah, settle down. Thanks to that synth-sucking motherfucker, we believe the worst things anyone can about these people. But old Tolman, Augusta, Jade, Hazel Johnson. He pauses for effect and looks down and wipes and does the action of wiping a tear away from his eyes, but you see that there is no tear there to be wiped. They saved us all those months ago, and they have returned to save us again. There is a massive cheer from the crowd. He turns to Augusta and Jade, and he mouths the words, I am sorry, as he puts medals around your necks. He whispers in your ear, Augusta, please play along. Come see me in my office later. I promise I'll explain everything. He backs away and says to the crowd, to the heroes of the Commonwealth, to the defenders of the Commonwealth. There is a massive cheering, and the crowd slowly starts to disperse. John Hancock gives you both a look. There's something like this, and then walks away. You are now stood in the center of Good Neighbor. Freddy, you're probably a little annoyed because you did not get a medal at all. You do not appear to have been recognized as a defender of the Commonwealth. For whatever reason, your story appears to have been cut out of the established narrative.
Which he really does not mind all that much.
Okay.
He doesn't want to be the center of this much attention, but he definitely has thoughts of using this attention.
Yep, that's fair. That's reasonable. So, as we switch over to the map, you are stood in the center of town. And people have started to, mill about and get on with their day-to-day. But, of course, there are some people who just can't can't stop from staring at you. What would you like to do?
As we gather together. Well, that was interesting.
Not quite the welcome I was expecting.
I mean, it's
Seeing
nicely
how
being
everyone
shot at, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's definitely an improvement, and we can probably, if they're so grateful to you, we might be able to even use this to our advantage when shopping. You can, but I'll go check out some of the shops and see what we can find. What are the rest of you going to do?
Did I hear the mayor whispering to Augusta to come and see him?
Yes, he made it clear to both of you.
Okay.
Both that he was sorry and he'll explain everything if you go to see him in his office in the State House.
Yeah. So Jade will probably look at Augusta and like, we may have a meeting to attend.
Yeah, I've got many questions about this place.
I'll
Oh,
come with you guys. There, I
Meeting?
want to know firsthand what's going on here, and see what's up and what they know about the other factions in this area.
well, since you just mentioned that they said something about a meeting, I guess I'll tag along too. I would hate for you guys to negotiate anything without me there.
I mean, never mind negotiating. I want to know why they didn't mention you at all. Like, how do they know about all of us, but not? I mean, I know you don't want that. I don't particularly want it either. But if you're going to talk about us, talk about all of us, right?
You would like to think that. I would hope that he has an explanation of what's going on. I mean, I really don't want the attention of this many people, so I'm glad it's you guys.
I'm not sure we really want all that attention either.
At that,
Let's find out more.
just as Jade says that he is not really that keen on the attention, a child is pulling on Jade's lab coat and then thrusts a pencil and a relatively new comic book that has clearly been commissioned, which has the title Defenders of the Commonwealth, with a picture of Jade, a very crude picture of Jade, punching out what appears to be a very crude picture of a member of the Sisterhood of Pain. And it just says Zap.
Oh no.
Oh.
Will you sign this, please, Mr. Jade? At that point, the child's mother walks over and says, "Don't bother the heroes, dear. Don't bother the heroes. I'm so sorry. Would you just sign their comic book, please?"
Go ahead, Jade. You know you want to.
Careful, it might really be a prescription.
It's me that thinking right now. It's not Jade necessarily. Oh crap. He might just write his name, but very awkwardly, like looking at mother parent, because he will have some I don't know, understanding of the child, but like, please save me, while he like just print out his name and like ruffle the kid's hair and like go something like stay in school or
She immediately
whatever. Like,
understands. She just says, well, she just says out loud, "Oh, I think I understand. Come along. He's too humble. Like good heroes are. Good heroes are always humble." And the kid goes, "Yeah, but good heroes also punch these people in the face." Ah! And the kid runs away to show all of their friends that they met
no.
the great hero that is Jade.
Oh, no.
So I get the impression that you're heading over to the State House, right?
Yeah. We want to know what's going on.
All right, you walk into the State House, and inside you see the grand hallway that is not so grand anymore. The best way to describe it is that this was once a grand hallway that has now been filled with what, if you were being unkind, you would call a pile of junkies. There are various people taking certain chems, and sort of a slow end of the world party is the kind of impression you get from this. This is the kind of party which has been going on for a while that can only happen when a certain people are facing certain doom. You head to the back and you start walking up the stairs, because you don't see anywhere that obviously there could be otherwise an office, and outside the office there is a ghoul in a tuxedo with a trilby standing at the door and just says, "Go on in. He's waiting for you." And you walk into John Hancock's office, and he is sat behind his desk, and the second the door closes behind you, he just says, "Okay, you weren't supposed to come back. Okay? I thought you were gone." And he turns to Carl for a second and says, "You know, if I had to put money on who would be accompanying the great heroes of the wasteland, I don't necessarily think it would have been you, Carl. Are they paying you? Is this a job?"
Kind of. Wasteland works in mysterious ways sometimes.
Fair enough, fair enough. And I'm told your name's Freddy?
Yes.
Well, from what the traders in town have told me, you've always been cagey about where you come from. Now I know why. So you took the Gek, and you made yourself a home somewhere outside of the Commonwealth, am I right? And now you've come back and found everything's gone to shit, and your faces are on the t-shirts of children. I can imagine you're quite confused.
That's a word for it.
Well, the least I can do is explain. What do you want to know?
Everything.
What story has everyone here been told? Because where we've just come from, we were heavily ostracized with extreme prejudice.
He looks down for a second and looks a little bit embarrassed and just says, "Well, basically, we were told that there were this group of people made up of mutants and ghouls and genocidal vault dwellers who were looking to take of Gek and use it to essentially destroy the city of Boston and replace it with something really sterile and boring and shit. And that if it wasn't for the people of Diamond City for saving the Commonwealth from these villains, we would all be dead. And at that point, we didn't know about what Diamond City was really about, so why would they lie? There's always some prick somewhere trying to destroy everything. Just figured you were the latest version of that. Until weeks ago, Dr. Amari came and told us all about what really happened with the railroad. Mayor McDonough was saying that you were responsible for their destruction, but Dr. Amari, it turns out, was a member of the railroad all this time and their only survivor. And she came back and she laid everything on the table. You weren't the people that killed the railroad, that was the Institute. And that was when we started to figure out what was going on with Diamond City, because Mayor McDonough was the one who told everyone that it was you. So all this tweeting from this reporter, Piper, from Diamond City finally started to make sense, because she's been saying that McDonough's a synth for years. But we never believed her because she was a reporter. Turns out this one time, She was right. But then the Institute started to attack. Everything went to shit. The war with Monofonto started. And I needed to sell some heroes to people to give them hope, alright? And there you were. Turned out you were heroes, but you were long gone, so I thought I could use you. You weren't supposed to actually, still be alive and come back. So I'm sorry to put you in this position. But the more I think about it, the more you kind of put me here. Because you were supposed to be dead, or gone, or living the high life with your geck somewhere. Does that answer
Oh,
your
how I
questions?
wish we were. Some of mine. How are the others feeling?
I really want to know how you got involved with the war with Monofono Towers.
That was actually, according to them, you shot there and killed their leader.
That wasn't me. That was Janine.
And why are we not talking to Janine then?
Because Janine is currently tied to a chair in the basement of the third rail. We've been trying to beat out of her for weeks at this point. Well, no, it has been weeks yet. Retcon. We've been trying to beat out of her ever since why she did it. She was new on the wall. We needed new people to man the wall. Now the Institute was attacking every other day. We took her in. We took her put her on the wall. And on her first shift, she shot Monderosa. Now we've got technology here that means that we can test to see if people are synths or not. We do tests every morning of everyone in town. And she is no synth. But that's all we could get
Sympathize her at least.
Well, maybe. I don't know. She won't say anything to anyone, no matter what we do to her. I've thought about what to do. I've thought about taking her and giving her over to Monofonto, but I get the impression that the second that I show up with her, they'll just shoot us both. Or they'll think that we're trying to scapegoat her. Or something. So I don't know what to do. What I know is that we're going to lose this war. Because they've got all the people, they've got all the weapons. We've got some people, sure. But we'll never last in a straight up fight with them. And we're never going to get anywhere beating the Institute back if we're at each other's throats. We need to be on the same side, facing them. That I do know.
Sounds to me like the Institute benefit directly from you two fighting.
Yeah.
Well, you say
that's
that.
What I paid job.
Yeah,
you say that, but how? I've been thinking about this, and that does kind of make some sense, but I don't get the impression the Institute gives a shit either way. Like, I don't think they're even particularly aware that this war's going on, unless they've got people in Monofonto who are pushing for it.
Well, if you can have paid people here, you can have them there too.
Well, we obviously haven't been testing everyone in Monofonto.
They might be interested in having their people tested.
Well, that was something I was going to suggest.
It seems to me that you don't really know why Janine attacked, and they don't know why you attacked, and they should benefit from you guys talking to each other. Both of you would.
Have you talked to them over there?
Yes, we have. We came from there.
Well, what did you think? What were they saying?
About what you were thinking.
Shit. Well, look. If you want to talk to Janine, I can let that happen. But if you want to know more about synths and what's going on when it comes to the railroad and everything else, you could talk to Dr. Amari. She's at the memory den. Might take a bit of doing because she's been in a funk ever since all of her people died. Maybe between Dr. Amari, me, you, and Janine, we can work out some kind of plan to get forward and end this fucking war. Because we can't go to war with Monofonto. We'll all die. That was the truth I'm trying to distract people from with all the comic books and T-shirts.
Well, you might have a bigger problem than that, actually, from what we learned out in the ruins. It seems that the whole reason the Institute has taken over Diamond City and has turned it into some kind of work camp, from what we heard from a slave we freed, is because they're fighting a war with the Brotherhood up north. And the Brotherhood has gone crazy and is trying to turn people into half human, half robot somethings. And if the Institute wasn't doing that, presumably the Brotherhood of Steel would have overrun this area completely already.
Brotherhood of Steel?
So we have some kind of weird 3 or 4 way standoff here. Also, if it would make you feel more comfortable, I am willing to just go through with having a synth test done on me, so you all know that I'm not a synth.
I would curious on how you test for synths. Something maybe we should know.
Dr. Amari takes a sample of blood. If you want any more information than that, you'll have to ask her.
Jade, that is your specialty. Blood. Diagnosing of, sometimes causing of.
Question is since Jade have studied DNA, I guess he should know that you can see quite a lot from blood if he knows the way to see if it's synthetic. I don't know, but at least he would know that it should be possible.
Yeah, you don't know loads about synths, but you know a lot about blood. And from testing the blood, you could probably imagine that Dr. Amari is looking for some kind of serial number or something buried deep in the DNA or something, or some kind of signifier that this was manufactured rather than reproduced DNA. But John Hancock says, well, you may have to talk to Dr. Amari about the blood thing, but wait. You're saying the Brotherhood of Steel want to turn people into robot things?
That's what we were told.
Is that related to all the robots disappearing?
Maybe.
It's possible. Maybe even probable.
In that case...
all the robots have been heading up north, and that's where the Brotherhood of Steel is located, so... could be relevant, could be connected.
In that case, he stands up and says, right, well, in that case, I'm going over to the memory den right now. You should come with me, and we can talk to Dr. Amari about this ourselves. This sounds like it's very important. You coming?
Lead the way. Lead the way.
Absolutely. Sounds very interesting.
On the way there, I'd like to try and talk to John quietly and just mention about how we're on a bit of a time limit here and we can't stay for too long.
Okay.
Because we're expected elsewhere.
So, he walks out the office, he gives a nod to his guy in the tuxedo who comes with, and you walk out into the street, and yeah, you wanted to talk to John Hancock on the way over?
Yeah, Mr. Hancock, just can I talk to you quietly for a moment?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Just so you're aware, we're here to look around and check it out and just see what's happening here, but we do have to sort of obliged to report back. Although we haven't decided if we're actually going to or not. They wanted to know at Monofonto what things were like here.
He stops.
And they're
says,
tracking us.
And I roll my eyes.
Wait, you're telling me that what, Betsy sent you here to spy on us?
I mean, they tried to kill us first.
This time for a second, I think, and it just says.
Also, you know,
Well,
we
you're
don't
clearly
have
not
to report
intending on
back
doing
everything.
that because you just told me that that was your mission, which I'm guessing means that you're not going to do it.
Well, we've got through so far by being intensely honest with everyone, apart from maybe one group of people. But that they didn't matter; they were terrible people. We are here to. We just want to be like on the level with you because you've been on the level with us.
When do you have to report back?
If I personally have forgotten. I think it's in the next 24 hours, isn't it?
It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon now.
It's the next
you have
morning.
to report back at 9 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Yeah, it's the next morning.
Yeah. Well, that's good information
since
to have, I guess.
I mean, we could report back that you've got less than you have, or that you've got more than you have, or the whole world is our oyster. But I mean, I imagine they've seen some of what you've got from a distance.
Let's talk to Dr.
And maybe if we get
Amari.
some info out of Janine.
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Carl?
And maybe if we get some information out of Janine, we can report back and start some peace talks.
He turns around and says, Carl, I like the way you're thinking. I think that may be the way forward. But let's go talk to Dr. Amari and get a full picture of what's going on.
I am very much on the same line as Carl and thought like, yeah, maybe we could actually help instead of just tattletale or run away. But we might actually be able to, and you're like, be the heroes.
I mean, the way I see it, we've got a much bigger problem here. We've got the Institute and a bunch of robots, and these two people are just using up all their time and energy fighting each other, which is a waste of resources.
Absolutely.
So as you say that,
We cannot forget our own goals in all of this, too, and get too distracted. We are here for the board.
Having a working board is going to be irrelevant if everything that makes it is destroyed.
That's what I'm saying. We have to keep that goal in our mind as we're thinking about all this.
Absolutely.
But I agree, negotiation is probably the best route for now. And we probably don't even have to travel that far to do it.
So you walk in behind John Hancock into a building which has a big red sign on the outside that says The Memory Den, and the sign is in a big heart. You walk in and you walk down the stairs into the basement, and in front of you, you see about 10 pods, each with sort of a reclining chair in it, with a bunch of various technology that it appears to be mostly a helmet with loads of wires sticking out of it. And John Hancock walks you down to the end, to the last 2 pods on the end, and you see one of them has a woman inside. The woman is wearing a lab coat, and she is plugged in. She has the helmet on her head, her eyes are closed, and you can see on a monitor what appears to be like a first-person view of a birthday party. So, on the monitor, you see that from a first-person perspective, someone is drinking and laughing with a number of other people. And, Carl, can you make a perception... Yeah, screw it. Perception survival, difficulty 1. DC 1.
All right, just a second. Let's see here. Perception survival, you say?
Oh, yeah, you're definitely good. And you get to bank an action point. So you're back up to 6.
Absolutely, I do.
Carl, you spot in the corner of the memory.
That puts us 6 action points, right?
Yes. Carl, you spot in the corner of this, of the screen, you are at the bar talking to... so many names. Talking to Magnolia, the singer at the Third Rail. You identified this as being a memory from the Third Rail bar that is in town.
Huh.
There is a computer terminal next to the pod. And yeah, John Hancock looks and says, "Oh, for fuck's sake, she's locked in. I don't know how to get her out of this. She said that if you mess around with this too much, you can cook someone's brain. She spends hours down here reliving all sorts of memories. Do any of you know how to use computers?
I dabble.
Or can you try and get her out of this without frying her brain?"
Jade, would you mind being on hand in case I might need your help with the not frying the brain section of this plan?
I mean, yeah. Yeah,
Okay, so
we
I
are
want to
under
look.
a lot of time pressure, but maybe, yeah.
I want to look at the computer. I don't want to do anything drastic in terms of moving. I just want to get a sense of what's going on.
All right. Want to borrow the multi-tool?
Okay. As you look at the screen, you see at the top of the screen it says Memories - Amari Levi. My One Night with Deacon. Thanksgiving 2279. Irma brings back Zeke. And That Night. That Night is currently playing. Underneath that it says New Custom Fantasies. Require testing.
Okay, and we want to end this memory that they're re-experiencing.
At least pause it, I guess.
So I think I might need to dig around in the menus a little more because I get a sense of what's playing, but I'm not seeing any like transport types of controls like you'd get on a video player or something.
Okay. From what you can tell at this point, the 4 memories that are assigned to Amari Levi that read My One Night with Deacon, Thanksgiving 2279, Irma Brings Back Zeke, and That Night, those are in a list of memories that you can play. Underneath that, it says New Custom Fantasies Require Testing. That, would open another folder, essentially, of other memories. There doesn't appear to be any obvious way where you are to start and stop the memory. This appears to be basically a folder structure of different memories.
I'll check the other untested fantasies then and just see if there's anything else in there that could be used as a move things along at least.
Okay, you open that folder and a new list comes up. Sex with 4 ghouls. Sex with a super mutant. Sex with Adelaide Cohen. None of you know who that is. Sex with an entire vault who believes you to be their savior. And the final one, swimming in an ocean of bottle caps. Then underneath that it
Goodness,
says
how are these
home.
made?
Sorry?
Oh, I'm just in character. I'm going. How did they make these? Did someone pretend, or is it like a complete computer simulation?
Dr. Amari
Anyway.
is some kind of genius when it comes to things of the brain. This is what this place is. This place sells fantasies to people. At some point, I'm presuming that people have requested these specific fantasies. And we don't judge here. We don't judge a good neighbor. We are what we are. We like what we like. And that's okay.
I'm not judging. I'm just the logistics of making it. Like, the only things I've ever come across have been either real or staged by actual people. The idea of like just making something happen in the brain that didn't actually ever take place. That's wild.
Well, at the bottom of the list of fantasies, there is a shortcut that just says home.
Yeah, I'm aiming for home, I think.
All right. You've landed on a home screen. And there you have several options, including memories, Amari Levi. New custom fantasies require testing. Current fantasy, currently playing. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. We know what's currently playing, but I wonder if we open that, if it'll give us any more information about messing with it. Or if that'll just take us back to where we were before.
Oh, you select it, it opens up, and you present it with a few options. Load new memory, pause current memory, end current session.
End current session sounds good.
I would probably have said pause, but
Well, we can end, and if the end doesn't work, we can pause. We do want to like get them out of it rather than just keep them stuck in place.
Okay. So what
Have you
do?
just tried unplugging it?
I'm going
Freddy
to
is
select
no
end
tech.
memory.
Okay, you select end memory, and there is a hissing sound on the screen. You see that the memory goes to black, and with white letters just says memory ended. Inside the pod, the chair sits up a little bit, and Dr. Amari opens her eyes and just says, "What? No! No! Stop! Wait! No! Oh! What? What did you do?"
Dr. Murray, we needed to talk to you.
John Hancock just says, "Yeah, Doc, come on, it's all right. I'm sorry. Just whatever this is, but we need you." After a few minutes of pulling off the helmet and getting out of the pod and sorting herself out, she stands in front of you and says, "All right, how can I help?"
Doctor, nice to meet you. And Jade, like, as they extend his hands to.
"Jade, you're one of those defenders of the Commonwealth." "Huh." She looks over to John and says, "Well, I bet you're a bit surprised. Never thought that your little hero people would show up in real life, did you?" John looks a little bit embarrassed and says, "All right, I know it was a stupid idea, but what would you do? Look, we're here to talk to you about robots. We're here to talk to you about the Institute. We're here to talk to you about all of that." Doctor says, "Well, that's a lot, so what do you want to know?"
I mean, it would be really interesting to see your work. My personal interest is in knowing how you make these tests. I have made quite a study on blood and DNA too.
"Oh, you mean checking for SIDS?" "Oh, it's fairly straightforward. Take a blood sample, analyze it up close, because in every cell of every meat-based synth, there is always a signature. There is always somebody who signs their work. You can always find the signature on every synth."
Could you show us it working? I'd love to see a negative if you have one before we can.
"Well, okay. This all right, John?" "Yeah, Doc, it's all right. Show him. It's okay." "All right, well, come with me, I guess." She leads you into a back room. There's a bar that is currently empty and unstocked. and behind that there is a doorway that leads into a back room. And she opens a drawer, pulls out 2 vials of blood, and says, "Right, this is synth blood, and this is normal blood." She puts a little drop onto a piece of glass, presses it down, puts it into what appears to be a slightly souped up microscope, and zooms in a little bit and says, "Alright, Jade, you see here?" And Jade, as you look through the microscope, you see what appears to be blood cells blown up. She says, "Right, you see there? There's no numbers there, are there?"
I suppose this is true blood then?
This is good old blood made the classic human way. Now, she takes that one out, replaces it with another slide that's got some blood pressed on it, then does some zooming again and says, "Right, now look there. Spot the difference?" As you look through, you see a similar looking blood cell, but along the corner, well, that's not a corner because it's a round thing, but along the side, you can see a string of numbers. She says that string of numbers, that same string of numbers, except for the 2 at the end, are the same on every synth that I've ever seen. In the railroad, this is how we would spot make sure that people, people who are people are who they say they are. And the synths who are working with us, we take a note of their individual identifying characters at the end of theirs. Make sure that they have those identifying characters, not something different. This used to be a closely guarded railroad secret, but considering that the railroad doesn't exist anymore, I don't suppose there's any harm in me telling you this now.
Very interesting. And you say the prisoner you have been tested and it's not a synth?
She's absolutely definitely not a synth. You're talking about Janine?
Yes.
Yeah. We test her every morning with everybody else. She is definitely not a synth.
Who tests everybody? You?
I do.
Who tests you?
I do.
How can we
All
trust
right,
you
fine,
if you're testing
whatever,
yourself?
Here we go. She pulls out a syringe, jabs it into the back of her hand, pulls a load of blood, hands over to Jade and says, "Please."
And while he takes it, he's like looking at her and going like, "Excuse him, he isn't tactful. He's a good barter, but he isn't tactful." And scowling just slightly at Freddy, but in a
We
kind
don't
of
have time for being subtle.
I know.
Yeah, here's a little bit. Here's something you can put some blood on. Put it, and I've shown you how to use the thing. Go find my serial number if you think I'm one of them.
No, my question was serious. Just who's testing you? The tester shouldn't test themselves.
And while he's Freddy is
I've
talking
got to
about
say,
her changes.
it would be very strange for me to be a synth because I'm the one who came here and told everybody that the synths killed the railroad and not you. I'm the reason why this guy and this girl are on T-shirts all around town. Thank you very much. What would like?
We don't mean any offense, but we didn't get to where we are by not being thorough.
Or suspicious.
She looks to John and John just says, "It's okay. Just let them use the microscope and rule you out."
And when you're done, if you can take some of mine to test also, I'd be curious.
Me too, please.
Jade are
Alright.
probably already done with the doctor's test.
Alright, so Jade, you look through the microscope and you do not see any numbers. As far as you are aware, Dr. Amari is fully fully human. And at that point, she takes blood from Carl and Freddie and goes to August and says, "Can I take yours too?"
Sure, I guess.
Do they
Okay.
make? No, never mind. Sorry.
She pulls from blood from Augusta and says, "Now I think we all agree at this point that it's pretty much a fact that the synths do not like have agents that are disguised as super mutants or ghouls."
I mean, it's only a matter of time, right?
Well, not really, because the Institute are kind of supremacists. They look at
Oh, fair, I suppose. But I thought it'd be an excuse to have a very powerful robot walking around.
robot.
Well, you know, a synth is a sort of robot, sort of hybrid, spicy mix.
I guess, although the line between what is a synth and what is a human is pretty thin. But then humans don't really have a serial number on their DNA, so that's a whole other thing. But anyway,
Can synths reproduce naturally among themselves? Generation 3.
That I don't know. I'm pretty sure they don't. And everybody wants to give a perception charisma check on that. Go ahead. I'm not going to tell you what the target is because there isn't one.
Oh boy. So you said charisma plus.
Oh no, speech rather. It's a perception speech check, I should have said.
Perception speech. Okay.
Oh wow, okay. Everyone is rolling good. Okay, Augusta, you get the feeling that there's a story there. Jade, Carl, and Freddie, because of your roles, you know for sure there's a story here. The way she said that, there's a story there, for sure. Potentially a sexy story. But she keeps saying, like, I've never seen it happen, never heard it happen. And to be honest, knowing the Institute, they'd probably find classic reproduction to be less efficient. When they make agents, they want to know that they're getting exactly what they need for whatever they want to do. And that's very hard to do the classic way. You got to wait 9 months. You got to make sure that the parents have the right genetic stuff to make sure that the kid has the most chance of being what you want. And then you got to raise them for like 18 years to be what you want them to be. Whereas the synths, they can just make someone exactly to their requirements, however they happen to make themselves.
That's not the same as that the synth can't do it on their own initiative.
Well,
and Jade will study her facial expression very intense.
Well, let's just say I've never seen it happen. And I've known and helped a lot of synths who were trying to escape from the Institute. Some of those synths did engage in sexual activity whilst, we had them hid in our various safe houses and stuff. And I've never ever known of a synth who was running for their lives, getting pregnant whilst in the care of the railroad. Or vice versa. Never ever seen anyone become impregnated by a synth.
Seen another synth or a human getting impregnated.
Well, no. I have, from my experiences, no. I've never seen a synth impregnate a human. I've never seen a human impregnate a synth. I've never seen synths impregnate each other. I have seen humans impregnate each other, like we all have. Is that the full gamut of reproduction potential ways?
Yeah, I think that covers it.
At that point, John Hancock says, so they were telling me that the Brotherhood of Steel have lost their minds up north, and the Institute are fighting some kind of war with them up north. Dr. Amari thinks for a second and then says, you know what, that kind of makes sense. From what I've been able to track, they are making synths in Diamond City, and those synths tend to head north across the I-93 bridge and then disappear. We don't know what happens to them. I'm guessing, by the sounds of it, they're going to war against this Brotherhood. Maybe, and that is, but then what about the robots? They're all heading north too.
We don't know yet. It could be they're being called. They seem to be called through a radio transmission, and that could be either the Brotherhood calling them to use as combat robots, or it could be the Institute doing the very same thing.
She looks to,
or there could be a third actor involved also that we don't know about yet.
She gives a look to John Hancock, who then nods his head and just says, well, I've been working on that too. And she looks around and just says, has anyone got any like robot parts about them that I don't know about or that aren't obvious? Or are there any robots here?
Is Nanny with us?
Yeah,
I think you mean built into us. Nanny's very obvious.
Oh, okay. Yeah, your nanny sounds just like, you might want to send your robot out the room for this.
Yeah, sure. Ms. Nanny, can you just wait outside for a little while?
Of course, darling. Oh, are you okay? Are you okay for food? Are you okay for sweeties?
I'll be fine. And you know these people are perfectly lovely. It's all going to be good.
Okay, you better take care of this one, because otherwise, lifts up her arm with the saw on it, because I'll get you. I'll get you. Dr. Amari looks a bit freaked out. I was like, all right, okay, fine, off you go. And as little Miss Nanny leaves the room, she says, okay, this signal you're talking about, this aren't
I just
you?
shrug and say we found her in a garage.
She turns to a computer terminal that's on the side. She says, you're talking about this, aren't you? She plays a sound that sounds a little familiar. You have heard this sound before. It's very much the sound of what would happen if a Commodore 64 tape was played in a tape player. Lots of chunks and beeps and various things. She stops it.
The fact that you know what that sounds like is interesting.
Me?
Considering your age. Yeah.
I looked on YouTube.
The old
I know that
Commodore
sound too.
tape.
My parents had a Spectrum. I've heard it.
I got off YouTube.
Ah.
But yeah, she says, you're right. This is being broadcast out of a radio station that's not that far outside of town, but very hard to get to at this point. This has been broadcast all over the wasteland for a long time, and every time a robot hears it, they leave. They head north. We lost Charlie Whitechapel, who was the bartender of the third rail. We lost Victoria, who was our arms dealer. Like, she was the most human robot I'd ever met in my life. She was very strong in how she identified. She always had opinions on things, and it was really hard to tell that she was indeed programmed. But the second she heard this, all of her humanness just left, and she left, and she just went. She just ran off north, never to be seen again. But here's the thing. Buried deep in the sound, I managed to isolate this. She fiddles around with the computer and plays the sound, and it's the sound, but with a lot of things stretched, like a lot of the sounds have sort of been dialed back and buried deep in the audio. You can hear the phrase, Bacon Protocol version 1.2. And she stops and says, right, that. Bacon Protocol, right? Augusta?
I heard this before, right at the start of all this.
You've heard what?
The thing that
Bacon
started
Protocol.
this whole thing. Yeah, I've heard of it. It's a very long story, and there isn't time. But this is not the first time I've heard of a Bacon Protocol.
Well, here's the thing,
And
right? If this
I
was
think
a synth,
I might know.
If this was a synth thing, it would not have been called the Bacon Protocol. The synths name everything they do under a long string of indecipherable numbers. They don't name themselves Benny or whatever. They name themselves X427325, you know? That's what they call themselves as names. Everything they have is a string of numbers, which is what makes them so hard to track. But this, Bacon Protocol, no synth would call this...
This is a robot thing.
What do you mean
This
it's
is a robot thing? The very first robot... Oh, God. I don't know if there's time for this. The very first robot I ever met in the wasteland was a bacon, identified itself as a bacon. And then also
Lavaita, if you want to take a
our
5-minute
device
break,
blew up.
if you want to go through your notes for 5 minutes on a break, we can absolutely do that, because I know this is a very
It's
deep
fine.
cut.
I've
Okay, sorry.
This is old.
Yeah, continue.
Give me can you all talk for a sec? I've got the page. I just need to read it properly.
Fair enough. So Dr. Romari makes the point that like if this is a synth plot or a synth plan that they're doing, their naming conventions have completely changed to something else.
How much would the rest of Edinburgh know about that mission you were on?
I didn't tell anyone, and I think only the people who were there would have known, and none of them are here. So muted myself. Old Tommy would have known, and no one else in Edinburgh.
And it isn't something that's talked about, or is...
We would not have talked about that. That was the start of everything. That was when I first met everyone in the desert, and there was a robot there who I sort of low-key insulted because I didn't know how to deal with robots then. And the robot left at the end of that, and I never saw them again.
I watched that.
If it's any help, I have sort of put all of this out basically in a way that people who don't know what this is referring to will not necessarily lose anything. But on the off chance that somebody remembered something from fucking ages ago, the option is there. But, you know, it's not... Yeah, you know what I mean.
Also, I saw the thing on the board, or was it on the screen? I made a note of a thing that I saw somewhere. I think it may have been on the board that I took out of the malfunctioning replication device, which I've forgotten the name of already as well. The
S742U board, or the fabricator.
Yeah, that one. The fabricator is the word I was missing. S742U I've got like written on every page. Don't worry. That and another number which I haven't ever needed to reference. But yeah, so that mentioned the Bacon Protocol as well, but I can't remember which version of the Bacon Protocol I'd seen on that. I think it was an earlier version. Yeah.
But the number doesn't matter. You got there anyway. So where did you hear about this Bacon Protocol?
It was on a board that had exploded in our town. We have a replicator that helps keep everything running, and it had a catastrophic event, shall we say, which is one of the reasons I'm here. And something flashed on the screen just before it went terribly, terribly wrong very quickly that said something about a Bacon Protocol.
By the sounds of it.
And I've only spoken to one person about this, so please keep this to yourself.
She thinks for a second and says, this is new. The Bacon Protocol, as I understand it, is this code, this data being broadcast. And the Bacon Protocol is the thing that is installed onto robots into their memory, and it makes them go north. Never heard of this Bacon protocol sending some kind of robot to sabotage something. Like, do you have robots where you are?
Some, but not many. But we had one a while ago.
One. Tell me about that robot.
It's very hard to remember because I'd never actually met a functioning robot before. I was quite new to the wasteland. I'd had a very bad time. Everyone I'd left my vault with had died. And I met this group of people outside a vault, which I was looking to explore, and they were looking to break into, and they had a robot with them. So we were kind of in a sort of four-way doing here kind of moment. And we explored that vault, and it kind of set everything else in motion, that whole situation.
Huh. Tell me
And that robot called itself Bacon after the person whose voice it had.
So the robot was called Bacon.
Sort of. It had the voice of an actor from before the war.
At that point, John Hancock
And
says,
the personality, I think.
Catherine Bacon?
Yeah, that would be her.
She was an actor from like hundreds of years before I was born.
I didn't know anything about her, but I've seen like some little references to her. But the robot had that voice and that personality.
John Hancock looks at Dr. Amari and both of them are stumped. So let me get this straight. We got the Institute, who it turns out apparently are fighting the Brotherhood up north and have taken over parts of the city to do that war. And then we got the Brotherhood of Steel, who are becoming cyborgs. And now there's this Bacon thing. Am I right?
Sounds like everything I know so far.
You forgot the
Yeah.
towers and yourself
Oh, yeah.
for the war. That's
There are
Freddie sitting there
also
just listening.
some people who believe that the Institute is, through this war, currently protecting us from the Brotherhood, but who knows?
This is so much more complicated. I thought that when we were destroying the bridges, we were just stopping the Institute from getting in. This is now so much worse. Well, alright. I'm going to lay it out. Whatever is going on up north with robots and Brotherhood and Bacon, in the here and now, whatever is coming from up north, we need to be in an alliance with Monofonto Towers. We need an alliance with whoever's left from the Diamond City. And we need to basically unite everyone to face whatever the fuck's going on up north.
I would completely agree with that. And be very careful of your robots.
Well, we don't have any robots. They're all gone. Your robot's the first robot I've seen in weeks.
Ours was malfunctioning when I found it, so I reprogrammed it before we started.
Dr. Murray says, reprogrammed. Oh,
Yeah.
you appear to be quite talented.
It was full reset.
Huh, fair enough. Well, look, I have been working on something. John Hancock says, well, when you've not been in the pods. Dr. Omar gives him a look, but then continues. When people in Good Neighbor started to blow up the bridges, that was because they believed, wrongly it turns out, giving John Hancock a glare, that they were moving here by road. But that isn't how the Institute gets around. Or at least that's not how their top agents get around. They teleport. They use some kind of
No, I haven't seen that.
Sorry?
I was just about to say we have seen that, but Jade didn't because Jade was down on the other
You would
floor.
have been told about it. And now these higher ups are teleporting to and from somewhere, which I would bet all of my money, all of my caps on them being their base. So if you could find, I don't know, with the technology I've got here, if you could maybe get the head of one of their higher ups, I could maybe read their memories, figure out how and where they're going. And at that point, maybe we could work out some way of stopping the Institute.
So your pods can read their minds. They can take memories
From an undamaged brain, yes.
And Jade will turn to Hancock and say, "Have you tried that with your prisoner?" That name has slipped my mind.
Oh, Janine.
Yeah.
Well, with these things, you got to have the user's permission, which is a lot easier to get from a dead brain.
Okay. So you can do it from a dead brain. Okay. That's interesting, too, by the way.
That's an option.
It's not what I would prefer to do, but it might come to that before this is over with this Janine person.
But maybe we can just let her know that's an option we have, and maybe Janine will speak.
Can you do it with an unconscious mind, too?
Dr. Amari says, well, it's safeguards in the system. Like, because,
Those can be turned off, can't they?
I've never really tried. Never really had a reason to.
I guess you got a reason now.
What, to force through and see someone's memories and see someone's internal workings like that? That doesn't feel right for some reason. John says, considering the circumstances, I mean, come on. Dr. Murray says, I guess you're right. Maybe.
I'm not saying we do it. It would be the last option. Go ahead, Carl.
Look at it this way, Doctor. Would it feel better in this piece of information, and then everyone is dead anyways?
I guess that's a good point. All right. I
mean, we could new people and new techniques, all that. We could try to talk to her first again. But, I mean, it seems more human to test her unconscious than to kill her in order to get her brainwaves.
Well, wait a minute. We don't want to kill her yet. I mean, if killing her will end the war, then we should absolutely do that. But we don't know if that's the case. And she, at this point, better to keep her alive so we have the option, right?
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, when we're done here, can we go talk to her?
Well, we can go talk to her now and figure this out. Dr. Amari, you go figure out if you could take off those safeguards or not. Dr. Amari sighs and just says, all right, I kind of had this day set aside, but I had stuff to do. He just says, yeah, I mean, you can mourn your lost friends later, okay? This is really important, all right? I get it, but you got to, yeah. She looks down and just says, okay, I'll get started on that. So unless you have any other things you want to ask, desperately, Dr. Amari could move you on to talking to Janine.
Am I human? He took blood before.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I assume everyone here passed the test because yeah.
That is actually a relief.
Well, that I would be so cutthroat to be like, actually, Augusta, you were a synth this whole time. That
I
would have
mean,
been a good
ruling nothing
twist.
out.
I'm a bit pissed off that I didn't do that, but no, you're all as you should be.
I mean, the Blade Runner RPG have that function that you can be an unknowing not Blade
Synth.
Runner, but
I knew when putting this together that there would be a lot of you suspecting every NPC potentially as a synth, so didn't want to have it that you were questioning your own humanity as well. But yeah, if you're all done with talking to Dr. Amari, she gets to work trying to figure out if she could take the safeguards off. This pre-war technology that she has been using. And you walk out of the memory den and go across the road to the third rail. Freddie and Carl, you are familiar with this bar for sure. Jade and Augusta, maybe less so. I don't know. But you go down the familiar stairs. There's all of the usual bouncers in their tuxedos and trilbies and fancy dresses and all sorts. But you go walk downstairs, and this bar, for the first time in your lives, Freddie and Carl, is empty except for a ghoul who is standing behind the bar and Magnolia, who is singing her normal slow jazz songs to an empty bar. She nods her head at John Hancock as you walk by. She gives a slight glare to Carl. And you all make your way out the back and down the stairs. And to a doorway, a door that has got two people in tuxedos, pretty beefy guys standing outside, and John says to them, "And these guys, we're going to go and have a chat with Janine." And one of them nods and opens the door, and you walk in with John, and you see a young, early 20s woman, human woman, dressed not that differently than to other people in Good Neighbor, and she is tied to a chair. Her face is bruised. Blood has dried. The blood that was hers has dried and crusted all around her mouth. She looks like she has been done over a number of times. She looks up and says nothing. And John just says, "Hey, Janine, brought some friends. Hoping that we can talk to you about what happened." She says nothing and doesn't look at anybody else but John. What would you like to do?
John, why don't you step outside for a while? If you want, you can listen at the door. But she seems to be upset with your presence.
John looks and thinks for a second, then agrees and says, "Well, if you need any tools, just check the tool cabinet in the corner." And he points to a cabinet that has a couple of hammers and wrenches sticking out of it. Some of them are covered in dried blood. And he walks out the room, leaving you alone with Janine.
Jade, could you make sure she's not too damaged? Clean her up a bit?
he will definitely make sure she's all right. And when Hancock goes like mumble something about maybe this isn't the right approach.
Give me a medicine, perception medicine. Difficulty 1. Oh, yeah. Easy, by far. So you take a brief look, but that's all you need to know. She has been beaten and punched a lot in the face and the ribs. You've identified 2 broken ribs and a number of bruises and superficial cuts. You are so good at doing your doctoring thing that you notice that there is a mole on her neck that she might think about getting checked out at some point when she gets a chance. But otherwise, she appears to be kind of fine. Admittedly, she has been through a pretty bad number of beatings at this point.
You said she was tied to the chair, or was she handcuffed?
I was about to say, can I?
She's been tied up with rope all the way around her many times with her hands down her sides like this. And some of the ropes are around the chair, so she is attached to the chair. The chair is attached to the floor, has been nailed down, and she is roped in. She is not going anywhere.
Did we have a security guard with us along with Hancock?
No, they're all outside.
No. Okay.
You four are in the room. The rest of your companions are off waiting outside because the room's too small for all of you to stand in. It's just you four and her.
Can I please get some water and cloth and I really want Olivia down here too.
Okay, let's just say that Jade, you walk out and you ask John for some water and some cloths. He obliges. You go and you grab Olivia, and you come and you return with Olivia. He hands you like a pint glass of water and a bunch of like cloths that look like they're just cloths used to wipe down a bar usually. These aren't the most sterile of things, but you have water and you have clean water and you have some cloths that you can use. And Olivia is there with you.
Yep. I like turn to the group and say, I really don't believe in this kind of interrogation. I will hope that you will let me do this for now. Carl and Olivia, would you please guard the door so I can untie her? Because we can't talk with her when she's sitting down with broken ribs.
Sure.
I was already going to suggest that. Give her a few moments to walk around and.
So Jade is going to untie her, wash up her bruises, try to bind up her ribs. Yeah. Want a medicine roll for that? Okay. Want a medicine roll for that?
As you untie her, she stands up and runs to the corner of the room and grabs a hammer from the toolbox. Well, not toolbox, the thing, and then just says, "All right, fucks. Who wants it? Who wants some?"
I just draw my weapon and point it at her. This won't last long if you go that route.
She looks at the gun, looks at the floor, then gives off a frustrated sigh, drops the hammer and holds her hands up.
We're here to ask questions. Hopefully we don't have to result to your death. But that is an option, just so you know.
She says nothing, but just glares
Listen.
at you.
I don't want that. We're obviously trying to help you.
Listen,
we just want the truth. Go ahead, Jade.
We are not from this settlement. As you just heard me say, I do not like this type of talk. And I can see you is not in a good state. Let me help you. And let's talk.
Okay, you are attempting to persuade her whilst mentioning her physical state. So, this would be a charisma medicine roll, because you are trying to persuade using your medical knowledge, is how I'm justifying it. So, this would be a difficulty of 2. Charisma medicine check for Jade only. If other people want to chime in and help, well, no help required.
4 successes.
That is I think that is a critical success, because medicine is one of your tagged skills, right? That is a super medical
It's
success.
4 successes.
Okay, so at that point, where is? Oh, Vincent seems to have dropped out.
Yeah.
At that point, she looks at you, puts her arms down, and just says, okay. Okay. At the very least, Janine seems to trust Jade. The one non-human in the room.
Well, she haven't had much success with humans as of right now, have she?
So you check her over, you clean up her wounds.
Yeah.
You put a bandage around her with around her ribs. You basically secure it as best you can, and during that she says nothing.
But she had come into the city from outside?
She was relatively new to Good Neighbor. John
Okay.
Hancock told you. He said that she was relatively new to Good Neighbor, and they sort of started recruiting anyone who seemed able to man the walls.
Oh, yeah. Right. So I think Jade will just, like, while he cleans her up and, like, fixes her, would have, like, maybe just made, like, small talk, like, first of all, like, oh, that's a nice cut, like, clean it up and dabbing it off, and, like, you're right, and, like, confirming her name, and all those little chit chat stuff.
After a little bit of this chit chat stuff, she just says to everybody, "All right, so we got the good cop. Take it you're the bad cops."
Nah.
Indifferent at most. We just need information, and very little, actually. And the truth.
You want to know why I shot him?
Do you know why you shot him? That would be a question.
Yes, I do. I know exactly why I shot him.
He probably deserved it. He was kind of a jerk in real life when he was alive, but he wasn't too bad.
Without knowing it, Freddy, you just hit the jackpot. When the way you talk about how he may have deserved it, before she can even stop herself, she says, "You're damn right that fucker deserved it."
And I'm sure you had good reason.
People talk about him like he's this great hero, this great legend who came along and totally wrapped up and ended the gang problem in the Monofonto Towers. People have forgotten what he was before and who he killed.
He's probably standing on a pile of bodies for the things he's done to get where he's been. Not unusual for gang leaders?
He killed my father. Years ago. Well, admittedly, I wasn't thinking at the time, because I wasn't expecting Monderosa Jones himself to start just be walking up towards Good Neighbor. Like, that has never happened before. To my knowledge. That guy never left his never left his tower. I know. I spent weeks waiting outside of it, waiting to see his face.
How fast do people usually bury their dead? Just me asking.
What do you mean?
Yep, and that's not Jade asking. That's me.
Oh, okay.
Because I know he was on the table when we left. Is there a risk? Is it now not a chance, but a risk that he's buried when we come back?
Maybe. You're not entirely aware of how Monofonto Towers deal with their dead.
Because with that information we just got, I want to test his blood. Yep, okay, back in character. So, yeah, Jade will just look at her and look at the rest and like, maybe we should test his blood, if possible.
Yeah? Well, now that I've let it slip, what are you going to do? To me?
I'm not a judge.
Well, I'm not stupid. I know that I started a war. And I know that ending that war would probably result in turning me over, right? Or killing me and turning me over.
Not
What do you want?
necessarily.
I got what
I mean,
wanted.
we are quite in favor of talking, apparently. Oh, well, we are.
You're asking what I wanted? I got what I wanted. And I'm willing to accept whatever happens next. But I didn't want to talk about this with people.
Well, since I am no people. And Giles like smiles a bit. Do you want to tell me your story?
Take me where?
Yeah, we have to leave the town later.
And where would we be going? You want to help me escape?
I would rather that they allowed you to walk out of here. With us or alone, that's on you, but
Who are you people?
according to this town, the heroes.
She stopped.
Yeah, it depends who you're asking.
Wait a minute. 75?
Oh, now it clicks.
A doctor who's a mutant? You're the defenders of the Commonwealth and some guy.
No,
that
he was a
right
defender
here,
of the
Carl?
Commonwealth. And the other guy.
Yeah. It's all.
Look, we're just trying to...
Is everything that they say about you true?
Probably not. Don't worry about it. Just take us on face value like we're taking you.
Let's say that what these people say might be overly positive, and what other rumors you may hear outside may be overly negative. So make your own judgment.
My judgment right now is that, for whatever reason, I trust you. I'm not too sure about the rest of you, but I trust you.
Seems to be a theme.
I'm not even doing anything... Oh, never mind.
All right, so what do you want to do?
I mean, yeah. I really want to talk to her first because I actually want her story, because that would give much more, like, the backstory to her problems with the Monofonto Towers mayor. What was his name? The guy she killed.
Monderosa Jones.
Ponderosa Jones. Okay. What was the common perception of him?
His reputation is he was a sort of a raider as part of a gang, but at some point he decided that the raiders going at each other was a terrible way of securing any kind of real future for any of them. So he worked to, in some cases through his sheer personality and other times through violence, managed to unite all of the gangs that were warring at each other in and around the Monofonto Towers, to eventually to a point where Monofonto became a functioning settlement with a dark past. He has been trying to fix and make Monofonto a place of true freedom that is not based on barbarism.
Okay.
So he's got a generally a good reputation, but he has committed extreme acts of violence to defend Monofonto as it is now and to get it there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
brutal
And before
but
that,
fair
he was...
with good intentions is probably the best way to sum it up. Brutal, fair, good intentions, but brutal.
Okay. So Jade would really want her story as to get all the background, to know what happened with her father, in order to argue her case to the mayor and good neighbor. I'm sorry, names. I should write them down.
John Hancock.
Hancock, yeah. To at least let her get out of here in order and not kill her on sight. Like, plead her case, be the middleman, as Jade always wants to be.
Okay, so you walk out, and John Hancock says to you, "So what do you think?" Okay.
Yeah, I was like, so Jade will argue this with Janine and say, I would really like your story, and not only because we all have our stories, that's what makes us us, but if I know the full story, I will be able to...
Well, here's the full story.
maybe help you more. You have some shopping to do too, right, Freddy? I am asking if the rest of you had something to do in the city. Olivia can stay here with me, I hope. And I will talk to
You gotta
I'm
say, the
usually
weird,
not the one
perverse
making
pleasure I
trouble.
take from watching you lot work out what to do is very enjoyable for me as a game master. Thank you for that. I'm enjoying this.
You know, Freddy, I'm usually not the one making problems for us.
I mean, I can't claim that I'm the one not making problems for us. I sometimes do, but I'm not trying to on this occasion.
Because that's not my way, and you know that.
May I make a suggestion?
I will always listen to you.
Let's do our shopping and get the stuff we need to get, and then we get her as we're leaving, rather than take her around with us, where everyone can see.
And I don't have any shopping to do anyway, so let me stay and talk to her. Olivia will back me up in case that she decides to pick the hammer up again.
Do we need to make Olivia the moral center of this possible argument? I don't know if I like that idea.
Olivia says, I agree with Augusta, and and tries to smile a little bit at Augusta and be like, see, I'm not so bad, I'm not so bad. And then just says like,
Knock it off, Olivia. You're trying too hard, love.
oh, okay.
Listen,
Well, look,
Augusta,
you should know that like Vault-Tec did do some training for, certain people in other departments when it came to finding information and interrogation and stuff, but I didn't get that. I don't know how I could be of any help here.
listen, Augusta, let me ask you something. Do you believe that Olivia would protect me?
I don't know what she'd do. She seems nice enough, but I've known what she's done.
If it helps, Augusta, I also know what I've done.
I'm not trying to rub it in at every possible moment, but you keep giving me these opportunities.
I'm sure at some point, Augusta, maybe I might be able to give you some peace in some way. I hope to, but right now,
You're a ghoul. One of us will be dead first, right?
what?
Please, be nice, both of you. Trust my judgment.
We
If
have
you
better
don't
things to do.
trust,
Yeah, fair. Absolutely fair.
yeah.
So, Freddie, you walk out, and John just says, "So, what'd you find?"
I will stay here, talk a bit more.
All right.
Augusta, please. Go with Freddy, take Carl with you.
I'm gonna leave. You do whatever.
Olivia, please stay here and
Yeah, please stay there.
assure that I doesn't get my head cracked with a hammer again.
Actually, yeah, Carl would be good defense for you.
Yeah, sorry, Vincent had some internet issues, and yeah.
But Olivia has a gun too and is trained in using it.
Janine
So-
says to, Jade, look, it's pretty obvious that I'm going to lose to you in a fight. So if you've got this ghoul person here, I don't think I can take you. If that's what you're worried about.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. The Google should suffice. I don't need a hunting guy with a bow too.
All right, so we're doing some splitting of the party. So we've got Freddie
Yes.
and Augusta who are leaving. We've got Jade, Carl, and Olivia who are staying. Let's just cut Freddie and Augusta first. Freddie and Augusta, you are standing in front of John Hancock, who just says like, "Where are you gonna leave? You gonna leave Janine with the mutant?" Oh yeah, I mean that's a good shout. You know, the mutant is surely going to be a pretty intimidating presence. Maybe able to get some information out of Janine, figure out what the hell this is all about. Uh, uh, so all right, well, you know, we'll stay here. I'll stay here and make sure that this doesn't get too bloody. Um, you know, go do what you're gonna do. I'm sure you're gonna need supplies. So yeah, avail yourself of our traders if you wish. So yeah, what would you like to do?
I'm going to go with Freddie on the off chance that my presence helps with like negotiating, by being like, "Oh, you're there, give you a discount," kind of thing, maybe. But I also need to shut the heck up because I'm no help in actual negotiations.
Okay, Freddie, if you are looking at going around traders and whatever, there are one, two. There are two main traders that you know in town. One of them is Beatrix, who operates out of Cafe Beatrix. She runs basically a cafe, mostly cooked foods. You've gone there and you've definitely traded different foodstuffs with her in the past to keep her cafe stocked up. And Dr. Malibu's mind healers / benders, which is, as you understand it, one of the best, if not the best place in the wasteland to buy chems and other medical supplies. So yeah, where would you like to go? All right, which one would you like to hit up first?
Maybe a stock up on the 4 health points stuff. Yeah. And maybe some. I saw there was healing. So salve for 2 hit points. So for minor injuries. Just. Yep.
All right. Let me just head to the drive and make sure that everything is shared as it should be. So
Also, that cow mix I tried was really good.
Let's say you start with Dr. Malibu's mind healers / benders, just for simplicity's sake. So you approach the shop, which is an old, dilapidated pre-war ice cream van that has been propped up on cinder blocks. There is a carpet that has been shoved out the front with a couple of like pillars on the side where there's a rope, which would signal that this is where people are expected to queue for Dr. Malibu's mind healer / benders. And you know Dr. Malibu pretty well. She is a regular person you trade with. She is a human who where is it? She's a human who, as you have talked in the past, her general past has been that she started as a drug dealer, a chems dealer, specializing in different forms of jet. But eventually she realized that she could diversify her business portfolio by also offering medical assistance. So as you approach, you see her there. She is standing. She's standing in at the window of the dilapidated ice cream cart. She is there currently mixing something, and then she looks up and says, Freddie! Oh, Freddie! I never thought I'd see you again. She walks out the back of the ice cream van, comes around and gives Freddie a massive hug. And at this point, you realise that she is a good 2 feet taller than Freddie and most people. She says, "How are you doing, Freddie? Ah, so good to see you in these dark times." Yeah, and I can maybe get my Robo-Doc back. Yeah, that fucking radio. You know, I was just trying to listen to DJ Sanjay on Radio Diamond, as I usually do. I like his voice. And then, yeah, it just up and left. And, you know, I think I can tell you this, Freddie. I was kind of relying on that thing for half of my business.
Chat says that Freddy is muted to viewers.
Freddie is muted to viewers? How is that possible? Oh, wait a minute. Let me just try this again.
When you reset it to get your...
I didn't reset anything. Okay, Freddie, can you talk?
No.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Yeah, that's coming through as it should be. How's that in the chat?
Yeah, I'm hearing it off the stream.
Okay, I have no explanation for what that was, but yeah, Freddie, you don't appear to be muted now.
Okay.
So yeah, at that point, Dr. Malibu gets back into her van and back into position. Says, "Well, should we talk business? I do not have as much stock as I usually do, but I've got some stuff I can trade."
Well, I have several things we could possibly trade and work on. Hopefully, we will have what you need.
All right, so we're going to leave you two there.
And
we're
I
coming up to
don't
time
have a shopping
anyway.
list, so
I will share all of the.
Yep.
I'll share all of the stores and stuff because there are 2 main stores and there are 2 other stores that you have access to as well. I'll share those straight after this. Going back to the room with Janine, Jade, and Olivia. Janine is just stood in front of you and just says, "So what's your story? Why are you here? You here to save us, like they see, like all those shitty comic books say?"
Well, it started out as a expedition to save ourselves, but we seem to run into people all the time that need the help too. And as you probably could hear, and Freddie and Augusta, I can't really stay away from that.
Well, here's something that you should be thinking about, right? And this is a result of you scoring astronomically well on your test earlier, Jade. You're asking the wrong questions. Because why I wanted to kill Monderosa should have been obvious to just about anyone if they really thought about it. Like, oh, you know, he killed my daddy. That must have been that would have been the first thing most people would have thought of, I'd imagine. The question you should be asking is, why was Monderosa Jones coming here? Himself. Why was I given the opportunity?
Exactly. And since you mentioned that, we have a new clue to go after. And we came from the towers before we came here, so...
And let me guess. Let me guess. They're ready to kill everyone here.
Yeah, pretty much.
What was John Hancock doing, knowing that Monderosa Jones was coming here? He's involved. Whatever this is.
Hancock knew that.
Yeah, he put out this stupid story about how Monderosa was coming here to talk about Good Neighbor blowing up all the bridges. But think about it. Where would people in Good Neighbor get those kind of explosives to blow up the bridges? Why would Monderosa... The only place around here that they could get that was from Monofonto Towers. So what was he really doing coming here in person during all this? What were they up to?
That is interesting.
That's why I didn't want to tell any of them what my deal was. So something's going on.
I mean, they really haven't gone about it the right way either, have they?
Oh no. And with that,
But
we'll leave it there. Because we could go on a bit more and do stuff, but we've got like 7 minutes left. Here's a pretty good place to call it for the night. Need to talk to Vincent about the internet thing because it sucks that he had to miss out on half the session. But yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next week with more plot dumps and various things. Players, if you want to plug anything, now's the time.
Got Mothership on Tuesday, I think, is the plan.
Ooh.
That's going to be fun.
I promised to get the Dragonbane video out sometime today. And then next weekend, we also have Dragonbane on Saturday.
Awesome.
And that's 2 o'clock my time.
I actually have a list of everything that I think we're doing across December to make sure, because obviously some games are stopping for the Christmas period and stuff at the end of the month. Fallout is continuing, I believe.
Yes.
The plan.
The Fallout games seem to be landing not on any of the big ones this year. So, yeah. Fallout will be running throughout.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, Fallout will be here same time every week throughout the Christmas period. But until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
bye.